watching Morning at NTV.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for our Tech Note as we get to look back at the 19th of October 2023, having been the International Day of the Girl Child. Now, we do have the December 19th, 2011, that was with the United Nations General Assembly passing a historical resolution designating October 11th as the International Day of the Girl Child. This significant global observation serves to recognize and uphold the fundamental rights of girls, acknowledging their unique challenges that they confront worldwide. Now, the occasion presents an invaluable opportunity for all of us to unite with the international community in reflecting upon the progress achieved in advancing the rights of girls all over the world. Now, we get to look at some of the issues in terms of progressing, identifying areas requiring further attention, and renewing the unwavering commitment to this noble cause. I am joined from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. I do have a guest that's coming in from there, an Assistant Commissioner, to join us on this conversation. We also do have, private sector that has taken a hand in ensuring that they create as much advocacy for the girl child, and that is the She Leads Consortium that is also joining us for this conversation. My name is Priscilla Regina Naluoga, and again, you are most welcome on this Tech Note. Let me start with the Ministry of Gender. We are joined by Mr. Mondo Chateka, who is the Assistant Commissioner, Youth Uganda. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Priscilla Regina. Mondo Chateka are my names. I work as Assistant Commissioner in the Department of Youth and Children Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and I'm happy to be on this program this morning. All
right, and as we have you, in terms of the International Day of the Girl Child, as a ministry, just give us one particular milestone that you have ticked off in terms of stewarding the girl child agenda.
That's very interesting to ask me for one, because we have done several things. But since you want one, Priscilla, for being mean, I will say that the issue of capacity building and exposure for the girl child, I think we have done extremely well. Okay.
All right. We do have She Leads Consortiums, an advocate in that regard. Claire, good morning to you.
Good morning, Priscilla. My name is Sylvia Claire Akun, a young girl and woman advocate from Girl Up Initiative, Uganda.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And then next to her, we do have Sophie.
Yeah, my name is Sophie Nabukenya. I'm the Country Consortium Coordinator for the She Leads program in Uganda.
Okay, all right. Now, when it comes to She Leads, exactly what do you do in perspective of the girl child?
Yeah, the She Leads program works to ensure that girls and young women are into leadership and decision-making processes, and we've ensured that we create spaces for girls to be part of the leadership and decision-making processes, in formal and in informal institutions.
Okay, all right. Claire, when it comes to the day of the International Day of the Girl Child, what does this day actually mean for us as girls and young women, young ladies in Uganda?
Us as girls and young women, this day means a lot to us, because through platforms and organizations like Girl Up, who give us projects like She Leads, we're able to air out our issues, speak up for ourselves, and people get to know what is happening to the girl child, or what the girl child needs, or what they do not need. And on this day, many leaders are able to speak up for the girls, and people get to actually know that this is what the girls are going through, not what we knew they were going through, but this is what they were actually going through.
Okay. And how would you define leadership and well-being of the girl child? So what's the status of that for us here in Uganda?
Our leadership as girls is just taking off. As the way I see it, it's just taking off for young girls and young women. You're seeing young girls, the youth, taking up leadership positions in their different communities and their nations. You see young youth leaders in churches, not just national leaders, but even in churches, in their families. Girls are taking lead, and this means a lot to them, because when you invest in the girls' leadership, when you invest in them, they are going to push up for for what is right for girls, and they're also going to support fellow girls' rights, just like the way boys' rights are also being protected. Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Chateka, it's been 12 years since the United Nations came out to designate 11th October as a day to observe the girl child internationally. Within those 12 years, as a ministry, what have been the tremendous steps that you have taken to actually promote the rights of the girls in Uganda?
Thank you very much, Priscilla, once again. And I want to start from where she has ended, my colleague, Claire, that this day is for taking an audit, taking stock, reflecting, and evaluating ourselves. And so your question is on course. What have we done? One of the things that government has put a lot of emphasis is the issue of education of the girl child. And that's why, Priscilla, you are here. You know, in the past you'll be somewhere, maybe married off and cooking for your husband. But because of education, you are here working. And so we think that one of the most important empowering tool for the girl child is education of the girl child. It used to be that when you had to take a choice between Mondo and Naroga, you will take Mondo to school and leave Naroga at home. With UPE, with USE, every person has an opportunity to go to school. I was happy the other day, I was reading about the people who have sat UCE, Uganda Certificate of Education examinations. They are over 360,000, 50.5% are girls, and 49.5% are boys, meaning that we have broken equity. The girls are taking lead. You go to different institutions of learning, for instance, Makerere University. If you go to the School of Law, majority of the lawyers being trained are girls. When you go and look at different professions that hitherto were a preserve of the boy child, now we are seeing a number of girls in those professions. Let me mention engineering, for instance. Engineering used to be a preserve of the boys. Now we are seeing a number of girls taking on engineering. And when we are talking about participation of the girl child, let's not always focus at politics, but we are looking at leadership at all levels. Leadership in journalism, professionalism, the academia. Politics can come in, but we can also talk about leadership in trade, leadership in terms of management of society. How many commissioners, how many permanent secretaries, how many directors, and in all those areas you need education first. And so I think we have scored very well there. When you go to the platform of politics, which people tend, when we talk about participation, their focus is always on politics. Then you're looking at the vice president now, you're looking at the prime minister, you're looking at the speaker, you're looking at how many members of parliament. Hitherto, there was no affirmative action. The Constitution of 1995, as amended, provided for affirmative action under Article 32. And so for every district that there is in this country, even if one is created tomorrow, there will be a woman member of parliament. That has increased on the critical mass of women in politics. And in politics, we are talking about deciding on policies. We are talking about talking about the priorities of government, influencing the development agenda and all the things that are in here. We are seeing a number of young girls excelling in different platforms. Talk about ICT. The PS now for ICT, as you know very well, is a lady, and so many other PSs who are women in that order. Talking about issues to do with self-management, the women have been put out of there to do their self-management, to decide on what they want to do. We are now struggling with ensuring that women should have the opportunity to decide when to marry, who to marry, how many children to produce, and when. There are still some cultural aspects that still disorganize our women and the girl child. But we are moving slowly. You remember in 2010, we did away with FGM, female genital mutilation. via an act of parliament. And so we are looking at these negative cultural practices that disadvantages the girl child, because Priscilla, in Amudat, for instance, even if you are 12, even if you are 11, the moment you undergo FGM, then you are ready for marriage. And you don't decide who to marry. The people will decide who to marry, and the moment you marry, then you start production of children. So we are still having those negative aspects in our society, but slowly and steadily we shall get there, because we are not where we were yesterday, but we are not where we want to go.
The future is surely bright for the girl child. Turning to you, Sophie, in regards to this year's theme that's going to help us navigate the next 365 days, it's underinvesting in girls' rights, leadership and well-being. Let's talk about leadership and well-being. As she leads, how have you been able to support the girl child to take the lead in things?
Yeah, thank you very much, Priscilla. The She Leads program works with, for instance, the Ministry of Gender to see that girls are given a platform, because we realize that when we talk about, in conversations where we talk about leadership and decision making, girls are taken in the same cocoon as women. Yeah, so when you look at the overall picture, within the overall leadership picture, you realize that our government has really played a good role to place women in positions of power, in leadership, in decision making. But my question would be, where are the girls? Yeah, so we, when you look at our population, 78% of us are still below 30 years. But then where is the girl in this picture? Yes, so the She Leads program comes in to fill that gap. We ensure that, one, we understand that the social negative gender norms are prevailing, and they are a block, a stumbling block for the achievement of realization of girls into decision-making processes and platforms. But we work to see that we get this girl down there from Karamoja, from Kamuli, to ensure that they are given a platform at different decision-making spaces within, at national level, at regional and international level. Recently, we had one of our girls attend the IGAD launch with the commissioner was there. We've had girls participate at different levels in the UN, where they are in the Human Rights Councils, at the UN CSW. We ensure that we get this girl who is actually otherwise wouldn't be in that space, and place them to that space, so that, decision makers get to understand the realities of these girls. It is better said from the girls than I going to report about what the girls are doing. So we ensure that we create spaces for them, because we believe they don't have to be only part of the cake. They have to be part of the whole process of baking, adding ingredients, and being part of the...
Even making the ingredients that make the cake.
Yes, they have to be...
part of the process of making the flour.
Yes.
They're part of the process of, the eggs, farming. It comes down to cake,
Yeah. So then we shall have the quality that we are talking about, the quality of decision making, the quality of the issues that come through. Because if you get, let me say, if I got this Claire and told her, we have an come speak, that will not be sufficient enough. But if she's in this whole process of engaging her, being in all these spaces, then she's fully equipped to be able to make very good decisions on behalf of her girls.
In regards to your advocacy work, you've interacted with girls all over the place, and when we look at the theme in terms of girls' rights to leadership and well-being, where do you feel are the investment gaps right now, and how should they be covered?
The investment gaps, I still see some in leadership, just like Commissioner talked about, the negative cultural aspects that we still have of girls not being able to take part or participate in those community meetings, local meetings, and the girls and the young women, they're not able to participate in those meetings, and they're not given that, and they're not given the chance to speak up, because they have what to say, but they're not given that chance because they're not allowed to attend those culture meetings. So those negative culture norms that are still hindering the girls' leadership in this country. Just like Commissioner said, we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we were before. Yeah.
You know, Priscilla, just on that point, I was taken aback. A few years ago, we lost our former Prime Minister, Professor Apollon Sivambi. And Professor Apollon Sivambi, in his wisdom as a professor, named a girl child as the heir. There was uproar in the Uganda kingdom that how can that be? But what stops the girl child from being my heir if I so decide? And so that is a big bottleneck. We have provided structures, including what I have mentioned, women platforms, women to be able to go to parliament. We talk about women councils, we talk about youth councils, we talk about now under the National Child Policy of 2020, we have a child reference group where children can be consulted on every policy that is going to be enacted.
Because they'll be the ones to consume it. In the
Exactly.
future.
And so they normally say, in our ministry we say, there's nothing for us without us. So we want them to participate as much as possible. In there, sometimes, even when you think that they are naive, okay, let them bring the naivety on the table. Sometimes you can pick something out of that naivety that may make a difference.
Okay. All right. When it comes to the
Give them space.
In terms of the ministry's collaboration with partners like the She Leads Consortium, what successes has the ministry registered on your side?
Oh, I must say that tremendously, so many things that have been registered. One of them, like I said at the beginning, is the issue of capacity building of the girl child. The issue of exposure. We have worked and coordinated with She Leads and many other organizations, Plan, UNICEF, name it. And in that area, in terms of having these girls, sometimes when we are short of money to buy a ticket, She Leads can come in and say, okay. She mentioned that recently I was I think in Nairobi with a girl child, an IGAD meeting where we were talking about a youth policy that had to be adopted. We had a girl who participated in this activity. And so where government is unable to fund everything, the civil society comes in. And this is under the private-public partnership. And so we encourage even NTV sometimes to come in and do some of these things under your corporate social responsibility. We have seen also the numbers of girls empowered, nurtured, coached, what's the other word that I forget, coaching and mentoring, you know, via partnering with other people is going up. Where you have girls that are being mentored by Priscilla can decide to say, I'm going to mentor Claire in, you know, in TV, you know, hosting. What's wrong with that? And so we are seeing all these numbers also getting up. And so you get sharp girls, you get sharp boys, you go to UN conference and you say, oh, is this one of my own?
And in tandem, they sharpen the ones that they come back to tell these tales and stories.
Exactly. And sharpen others, and so we go. We have also seen the numbers of girls taking on the normally male-dominated courses improve because of the nurturing, because of the mentoring. They are looking at people like the Yanyimas who are, you know, engineers. They are looking at people who are doctors. They are looking at all this space that we have filled with so many women in different trades. And so they are learning from them and doing a better job. And, you know, that's why the enrollment is getting up.
Okay.
Although we still have a challenge. We still have a challenge in terms of when I said this, sometimes people complain. I think we still produce beyond our capacity to manage. We are producing...
That's at the family unit level.
At the family level.
Producing children.
Producing children more than what we can manage. So in terms of parenting, I think the parents are not giving adequate time to the children. And there are certain things as a ministry that we want inculcated in the children at the family level. Okay. You know, we believe that the best teacher ever
is the parent.
Is the parent.
Yeah, because
the best school
the child
ever
sees what they do.
Is the home.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we need to strengthen this family system to nurture, love, care, and protect our children.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think we are on it. We are moving steadily. It may be slow, but it is making meaning.
All right. Claire, in regards to challenges in your advocacy work, again, especially with the mindset, what have you found challenging for the girl child when they're given the opportunity, or there's a, there's a space for them to step up and be a leader?
For the girls, some girls are not confident enough and they're really shy, and this is because they have been made shy by the people maybe they stay with, or the people around them, or the people who always surround them, or even their friends. Some people get shy and they have what to say. They really want to come up and do something great for their community, for themselves, and make their own decisions, but sometimes it's just inferiority complex. Some of them see that this person is, maybe their father or their mother is, is more powerful than them, more superior than them, and they can make better decisions than them, but they do not know that they have the chance, or they have the opportunity to make their own decisions. And that's why on the International Day of the Girl Child, when these platforms are given to us, I encourage all the girls to come and speak up for themselves. Let them come and advocate for themselves. Let them come and let people know that this and this is what I want and this is what I do not want, and influence the policies that we have right now.
Okay. Sophie, how are we going to be investing on this theme for this year? Actually, how are we going to be translating it into the campaigns and programs that are yet to come with She Leads?
Thank you very much. As She Leads and other consortium partners, as we move ahead towards the end of the year and the campaign, we will ensure that we are more deliberate and intentional to engage girls and young women, give them space to voice out their concerns and issues, but also, like Claire said, the issue of exposure to spaces is very key, because if they are not in these spaces, then how they know how to even handle or speak in those spaces. Okay. Yeah. Commissioner Mondo talked about mentorship. That is very key. We use it in She Leads as an approach to ensure that girls are able to get the skill from peers, the peer-to-peer mentorship, to be able to sharpen their skills in advocacy. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So in your closing remarks.
Yeah, so in my closing remarks, I would appreciate the work that the ministry is doing. Yeah, they've talked about a reference group and all the efforts they're doing with other partners to ensure that girls and young women are into decision-making platforms and processes. But we'll request that they do a lot more, push a lot more to ensure that, the girls are out there, yeah, in the country. Well, we also call upon other donors, the UN agencies, to ensure that they are more flexible when it comes to funding girls and young women-led initiatives. Most of these are informal groups that we form still in communities, more flexible, but also give them long-term funding to ensure that they are able to lead on different aspects, but also call upon all the leaders in their both formal and informal institutions to be able to have an intergenerational conversation with the girls. Yeah, that is very key, yeah, because you realize that let us accept them as not calling all young people as unruly, unmanageable. Let us have this conversation so that, we learn from each other.
All right. So let me have the ministry have the final word on this one as well.
Thank you, Priscilla, Regina, Naroga. To start with, I think, like I said, the family is very important. That's where everything starts, and that's where everything can collapse. If you are living in a home where the mother and father are dictators, then you will not produce children who are empowered, because they are used to be taking instructions. And many parents have developed a habit of shouting all the time. And actually, I tell parents oftentimes that many times when the children hear the car, they say, Wumba Kali is back, and everybody is timid. You will never see a Claire growing up into a woman who is confident when she's used to intimidation in the home. So empowerment must start within our homes. Okay. To respect, but also to ensure that the children are participating in the decision-making process. Right. Two, we need to do a lot more together, like she said. Not just government, but all of us together and a private-public partnership. Let me end by saying that you started by saying 11th October is the day we celebrate International Day of the Girl. Due to circumstances beyond our country, we had not held a formal celebration for this year. I'm inviting you tomorrow at the National Theatre. That's where we're going to have the formal gathering where we celebrate and mark International Day of the Girl Child. National Theatre, auditorium, from 10 to 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Let me also add very quickly that we use International Day of the Girl Child and the Day of the African Child, which falls on 16th every June, as days of advocacy for our children.
All right.
As days when we prioritize, when we listen, when we understand, when we talk, when we do intergenerational dialogue with our children. And so we encourage people in their homes to do exactly that.
Okay. All right. Well, responsibility and leadership starts from the home setting. So in your home, make sure that you do checks and balances in that regard. We take a short breather. We return shortly.